Good morning, all. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. With this quote by Benjamin Franklin, I, C. Tamilselvi, Assistant Professor, Department of IT, welcome you all to another exciting day of the Virtual Faculty Development Program on Education 5.0. Today, day 4 of the FDP, we have a distinguished guest with us, Professor Dr. Grace Mary Kanaga, Professor from Karunya Institute of Technology and Sciences, for presenting a lecture on the topic Towards OBE. I now call upon our HOD of the department, Professor Dr. N. Karunya, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Tamil. Good morning, everyone. Respected dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, and dear participants. I extend a warm welcome to all of you on behalf of the Department of Information Technology, Dr. NGR Education and Research Institute, and Academic Staff College. It is a pleasure to gather here today for the 5-day virtual faculty development program on Education 5.0. First and foremost, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to our Founder Chancellor, A.C. Shanmugam sir, and our President, Engineer A.C. Sarun Kumar sir, for their continuous support. Without them, this would not be happen. Their visionary leadership has been instrumental in shaping up our university in this success. First and foremost, it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest, Professor Dr. N. Nithiraj, the Dean of Engineering Technology at Dr. NGR Education and Research Institute. We are honored to have him here today to deliver the felicitation address. With his vast knowledge and experience in the field of engineering and technology, we anticipate the value insight that will enrich our understanding of Education 5.0. Welcome you, sir. On day 5 of this program, we have the pleasure to welcoming Professor Dr. Grace Mary Kanaga, a distinguished professor from Karunya Institute of Technology and Science. She will sharing her experience on Towards OBE, outcome-based education. Professor Kanaga insight will undoubtedly provide us the value perspective on implementation of outcome-based education in education. I also like to express gratitude to the coordinator and organizer of the program, Dr. Darius San, Professor, Department of Information Technology, and Mr. Vijay Rasu, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology. Their dedication and hard work have been instrumental to bring this event to great success. I also extend my appreciation to the entire team involved in organizing this program, whose efforts have made this virtual faculty development program possible. 5 days virtual faculty development program on Education 5.0 is designed to foster collaboration, innovation, and the exchange of knowledge among educators. It offers a unique opportunity to explore the latest trends and advancement in education, especially focusing on Education 5.0. Encouraging all the participants to actively engage in this session, interact with the esteemed speakers, and share your valuable insights and experience. Let us collectively strive to enhance our teaching practice and contribute to the transformation of education in the 21st century. Once again, I extend my warmest welcome to each and every one of you and hope that this program will be an enriching experience for you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our beloved Dean ENT, Professor N. Ethiraj, Dr. N. Ethiraj, to present the felicitation address.
Good morning, all of you present here. First of all, I wish to extend my sincere thanks to Department of IT for giving me this opportunity to talk to you about this Industry 5.0 and Education 5.0. Thank you once again. See, actually speaking, the COVID has taught us a lot of things, and whatever transformation we expected to happen after maybe a decade or 2 decades, it has happened very suddenly overnight because of the COVID. See, the thing is, there are a lot of changes in industry, a lot of changes in societal life, as well as in education system. See, the thing is, we have to understand the changes. We have to accept the changes. We have to go along with the stream. So we have to change. So before that, to change, we have to know what is what, which is good or bad, right or wrong. We have to know. Then only you can travel in the right path. This is very important for the faculties because, sorry to say that, in general, the NAC or MBA comes, generally they used to say the whatever is implemented, latest, it may be a method of evaluation or a method of assessment or accreditation, whatever it is only in the top level. It's not going to the down level. They say that the present day generation is not willing to learn what is going on. Very unfortunate to hear that. So it's better to convey or percolate from the top to the bottom so that these people will be the ambassador for transferring whatever changes are happening in the industry or educational level to the stakeholders like parents, students, and even for the next forthcoming kids. So this is very important for the faculty members to know about what is the change we are going to face, what is the challenge we are going to face, and what is the way we are going to travel. So especially, we are talking about Industry 4.0. Actually, India is still far ahead of implementing the Industry 4.0. We are just now starting to talk about it. We have not gone even 50% of what is to be done. When industry is revolutionizing, in parallel, in par, the education also has to develop. That is what Industry 4.0 and Education 4.0 is. See, actually speaking, we know that all the things are transforming into the digital world. Cyber physical system has come into the play. So education system also go in that route. Now other countries have entered into Industry 5.0, and in parallel they developed the Education 5.0 to cope up with the Industry 5.0. But here still we are in the, I can say, primitive stage, 4.0 level. Why? What is actually there? What they are trying to do? See, in fact, what we did is we taught them the fundamentals, exactly what is required, but application-oriented things we forgot to do it. We just made the students to memorize and give the as a output. Very unfortunately, the system of evaluation itself is something we have to reassess. So the skill was lacked. So again, now people started talking about skill. So apart from your fundamental knowledge, you need to be a skilled person. Now next level is the multi-activities task. You can't be a skillful person in only one area. You have to be multiple personality, multiple task-oriented personality. So again, next level is application of your mind. Whatever knowledge you gain, it has to be applied in the right sense in whatever maybe the domain is, so that the society, ultimately the society is going to get gained. So for the sake of the society, because we are also part of the society, and it is for the society, you have to do something. So whatever you learned as a knowledge, that has to be transferred and in a useful product or manner to the society. So that is next. Next is the research. Then comes the innovation. So what is happening is, the thing is, the total educational system is going to revamp. This is what you have to understand. It is not only teaching. Nowadays, plenty of material. You just put it in a Google and or chat GPT. Just put the keyword, you get information within no time. So the challenge in front of the faculty is beyond the availability of the uh, material or knowledge from the other sources. You have to be strong enough to teach them. Nowadays, it's very important for the faculty members to guide them. That's very, very important. Guide them in the proper way. This is the way the trend is going. This is the way the industry is expecting. All those things has to be taught to the students. So you are the person to guide the next generation students. So the industry 5.0 is, I can say that for us it is far away. At least we have to catch up with the industry 4.0 and 5.0. I mean 4.0 education 4.0, so that at least we little bit improvement in your education system, because without improving yourself you cannot be in the race in the global market, because you know the globalization has happened everywhere. No change, you can feel that whether you are in India or in abroad, almost the world has shrunk and it is very easy to communicate, contact, all those things are there. So education system has to develop to catch hold of the industrial revolutions, but we are far behind in education system also. See, in implementing the industry 4.0 itself, we are far behind, our country is, but education 4.0 is also far behind the industry 4.0. See, that is why nowadays we started looking for latest technologies, but still a lot of confusions are there, problems are there, because for example, usually in engineering we used to say the first year is common, and which is giving the fundamental things of general science and mathematics, and second year, that means third semester, we started giving the fundamental subjects of that particular domain of the branch. But the thing is, the question is, where is the new technology comes inside? And whenever we say you incorporate a new course, which is latest, you are not finding the place to fit it, because already so many subjects are there. Oh, yeah, how can I fit in them? So only thing is we have to think again, reassess again. Is it necessary to run a first year with the basics of whatever they studied in +1 and +2? So you have to go a little bit ahead from the starting itself, so that you can accommodate whatever the latest technology is there, because we are giving it in electives, of course. But even if you give it in electives, the aptitude of the students is generally to take an elective which is very easy and very easy to get through it, instead of learning process. So that plays a very important role. So unless or otherwise you give it to the core, they won't do it. Another thing is, nowadays the education system is expected to give outcome based. See, generally we used to do that, because whatever we do is without any outcome, we won't do anything. But it was not measured before. Now only we started giving the importance for outcomes. So now the outcome means the student must have the basic knowledge. Without fundamentals, you cannot build up anything on that. Second thing is, you have to be a skilled person. You have to learn, become expert in whatever you are learning. Not immediately, but at least on the run. That's why nowadays we used to say lifelong learning, because every day is a learning. You have to keep on learning. You cannot be satisfied with whatever you learn now. You have to keep on learning. So lifelong learning has become a must nowadays. So once the skill is there, you have to be in the research as well as in innovations. You have to apply your mind. Application is very important, which is actually not there in our culture. Very unfortunately, in education system, we never thought what is the application of whatever they read it. But this is the time for us to revamp or reassess and tell the students that application of whatever you learn in the which will help the society is very important. So these are all the things actually concentrated on industry 5.0, 4.0 as well as 5.0. The technology movement is very fast. You know that what is available today may not be is absolute within a year or two, and new technology is coming. You know what is happening in the cell phone. We started with the communication system alone. It's only to talk in between the two persons. But you know what are the facilities available in the net? You name it, you get it. So it is a development. That is what you have to teach the students. But to teach the student, the faculty should understand what is what. See, the outcome-based education is a call of the day today. We have to give whatever best outcome to the students. The students will flourish in the society in the future. With that note, I thank once again the Department of IT, HOD, staff members, and students for giving the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such a great words. Before we start our session today, I would like to remind the participants that the attendance link will be available only in the chat box at the end of the session. Filling that is mandatory to earn the e-certificate. Participants, you can post your queries in the chat window that will be answered during the question answer session at the end of the session. Now I would like to call Mr. Jaishankar, Assistant Professor, Department of IT, to introduce our guest speaker, Professor Dr. Grace Mary Kanaga.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good morning to one and all present here. Myself, N. Jaishankar, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, Dr. MGR University Educational and Research Institute. All faculty members, research scholars, students, today is the fourth day of Virtual Faculty Development Program on Education 5.0, organized by Department of Information Technology. It gives me an immense pleasure to introduce today's chief guest, Dr. E. Grace Mary Kanaga of this Virtual Faculty Development Program on Education 5.0 towards outcome-based education. Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. E. Grace Mary Kanaga, Professor, Computer Science and Engineering in Karunya Institute of Technology, Coimbatore. She did her doctorate program from Anna University of Technology, Coimbatore in 2011 with a specialized hybrid coordinated multi-agent optimization techniques for patent scheduling. She also did MTech in Computer Science and Engineering in the year 2002 and Vellore VIT, Vellore Institute of Technology, Vellore. She did Bachelor's in Engineering Computer Science in the year 1997, Adiyaman College of Engineering, Hosur. She had a 25 years plus experience in teaching at UG as well as PG level. Dear friends, she received the Best Computer Science Faculty Award for the year 2013 by ASDF. Received Innovative Professional Award from Society of Professional Engineers 2016. Received National Young Leaders Program Award from Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, NSS Regional Directorate, Chennai for the outstanding contribution of community services through NSS 2017. Received Women in Science and Innovation Award from GECL 2021. She got a fund for her project from the agency of DST ICPS, sanctioned amount of rupees 38 lakh for 84,372 rupees. She has been published more than 8 books and over 29 plus international journals, reputed publications to her credit. She participates and presented 32 plus international conferences, 12 plus national conferences. She is a core committee member of IBM Big Data Center of Excellence, coordinator of Computational Intelligence and Software Engineering Research Group, and a member of Machine Intelligence Research Lab, Scientific Network for Innovation and Research Excellence. She has been a convener and a coordinator for various international and national level events. I would like to thank Dr. E. Grace Mary Kanaga, ma'am, for presenting a talk on these auspicious occasions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, the session is all yours. You can start the session.
Okay, thank you. I'll start. I'll present my screen. Hope my screen is visible, right? If my screen is not visible or if I'm not audible, kindly let me know. Good
Yes,
morning,
ma'am, your
all of
screen
you.
is
I'm
visible.
so happy. It's not visible. It's not visible.
It's visible, ma'am. It's visible. You can continue.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, all of you. I'm so happy to share or to talk about this OBE. And I hope that this OBE is not a new topic now, because everyone know about this OBE, as well as we are working on this MBA accreditation, etc. So everybody knows. But when I see the participant list, I have seen various people, various participants from different schools and other streams as well. So I wanted to give a brief view about this OBE. And before that, I would like to thank the management, the higher officials for giving me this opportunity to share regarding OBE. So as we all know that nowadays the entire learning system has changed. Outcome-based education, we are talking about education 5.0 and also about that NEP 2020, even though in our state we have not started, but in some universities and some institutes they have started this NEP. So when we implement this NEP 2020, automatically there are a lot of challenges because there is multiple entry as well as multiple exit. So the students can enter in the first, that is, they can, if they wanted to leave in the first year itself, they can leave. They can get the certification, diploma, degree like that. So there is a lot of challenge, and each and every institute, our institute should be very well versed, and we should be capable of handling such situations. Our curriculum design should be in such a way that we should be able to provide a better curriculum that attracts people. And also here, whenever we are talking about this OBE, student is the center. Student is the so student-centered learning, teaching, assessment, etc. So everything, whenever we design a curriculum or a teaching learning methodology or the assessment pattern, we should keep student in the center, and based on that, we have to develop or design everything. So mainly I'm going to talk about what is this outcome-based education and what's the process of implementation. But I'm not going to handle all the detailed calculation and all those things, because in each institute they follow different methodology for calculating this COPO mapping, outcome calculation, etc. So no, I'm not going to delve with that analytical part, because it varies, and and also different institutions are using different softwares to handle this. But we should understand the main components, major components of OBE. So what is this OBE, and what are the main components, and how to concentrate on this four main components, that is curriculum design, then teaching learning, as well as the assessment tools or assessment methods. And finally, we have, whenever there is a gap in that outcome, that gap has to be built. So that gap that is, we have to apply some methodology or technique or ways to fill this gap. If the students are not able to achieve this outcome, we should be able to provide support for the students to achieve that. So in a lighter way, we all know that, for example, I wanted to make a cake, lemon cake. So in that case, so that's the outcome I expect. That's the outcome I expect. So always we should be clear about what is expected at the end. So in the end, actually, the product I need, the recipe I need is the lemon cake. So in that case, what are the ingredients that are needed? So we need flour, we need lemon, then sugar, baking powder, egg, butter, etc. So after that, we have to decide on the ingredients. What are the ingredients that are needed for making this delicious cake? And also, the process may change for making different types of cake. The process may change. So we should know what is the end product we expect. That is very, very important. We should not take the ingredients first, and based on the available ingredients, if we are trying to make a product, in that case it may not be a better or a tasty one that we expect. So the first thing we decide is what is the final product we expect out of it. Similarly, another analogy, assume that we wanted to make delicious Zambur mutton biryani. Again, if I wanted to make this mutton biryani, I need mutton, not the chicken. And similarly, there are different types of biryani. You may think that why you are talking about this biryani and food, etc. Just to remember, and just on the lighter side, I wanted to give this analogy. And so, what happens is there are different types of biryani. In different ways, you can make biryani: dum biryani, Hyderabad biryani, Ambu biryani, etc. The process changes. So, in all type of biryani, actually, the process changes. First, to put what ingredient, how long you have to sort that ingredient, and whether to put tomato first or the rice first. So many things are there. Similarly, whenever we are talking about this engineering education or any education, we must know about the outer product we expect from our student. What is the what we wanted to make? So we are handling the raw materials. That is where after completing their 12th standard, they are entering into our institute as a BTech student or a science student or an art student or a media student, whatever it may be. But they themselves, that is the student, may wanted to become something. And also we must know what product we wanted to make out of this raw material. That is, they are entering as a raw material to us, and we have to make them into a suitable product that is useful in the industry. That is, they should be capable of higher learning. If they wanted to go for higher learning, or if they wanted to start a new company, or if they wanted to become an entrepreneur, so we should enable them to become everything. So we should know what is the end product I wanted to make. So based on that, we have to design our curriculum. Based on that, we have to design our teaching learning methodology. Based on that, we have to evaluate them. Then we can get the useful product out of them. So what is this program outcome? An engineering graduate. So this is the graduate attribute that is mentioned by the NBA accreditation board. So I think most of you are from engineering background. So I have taken this as an example. So graduate attribute, these are the attributes we are expecting from an engineering graduate. So this is the program out at the end of the program. So here the program is a BTech program. So at the end of the program, what we are expecting from a graduate, from an engineering graduate. So they have mentioned some 12 attributes they have mentioned. For example, engineering knowledge. They must have basic engineering knowledge, problem solving skills, so problem analysis, design and development of solutions. Like that, they have mentioned 12 POs. So at the end, they must have all these qualities, all these attributes an engineering graduate must have. They must have the capability of investigation. They should be able to use the modern tools. and they must they have to work in the engineer. Actually, they should be capable of an engineer, and also they should serve the society and the environment and sustainability. They must have ethics. Even though we provide so much of academic input, but if they don't have ethics, in that case, it is mere waste. Where even though we teach them academically, if they don't have ethics, nowadays we are talking about AI. So everywhere there are ethics. How long we can go? What is the limit? So that ethics our student must know, and also they should know to work individually, as well as they should know to work in a team, and also they must have a communication skill. So communication may not be the language skill alone. They should know to express correctly. That is actually the communication skill. And also they should be able to handle finance, because if they wanted to become an entrepreneur, so they know to handle finance, or in that is in their life they should be able to handle finance. And also lifelong learning, because learning does not end at the end of the final year, so it has to continue. So we have to provide courses or learning in such a way that they should capable of having this lifelong learning. So this is the expected outcome. And so now we have a precise idea what is expected out of our student at the end of the program. So based on that, we have to design our course. Actually, this outcome based education, I think from even though we were talking previously and in other countries, it has been implemented. As for my knowledge, actually from 2011 or 12, everybody started working on this outcome-based education, and we started working on that. Is NBA asked for this outcome, PO, CO mapping, etc. From 2012. So now we are very clear. But before that, how we frame the syllabus is, when whatever new subject comes, or if it is attractive, we include those course in our curriculum. But here, how to frame the syllabus is from this outcome, we have to rework, we have to do the re-engineering, and then we have to decide on the curriculum. And from the curriculum, we have to decide on the modules. So we should not, but mostly what we do is we do a reverse work. But this is what is expected from us. We should know the outcome. We know the outcome. So to achieve that, we have to frame the course accordingly. We have to frame the module, etc. Can anyone guess who is this? From my talking, I think you might have guessed this. Guessed him. You must have guessed him. He is Dr. Williams Paddy. And Dr. Williams Paddy is called the father of OBE. And he coined the term. And whenever we are talking about this outcome-based education, this OBE means clearly focusing on organizing everything in an educational system around what is essential for all the students to able to do successfully at the end of the learning experience. So this is the basic focus of OBE. So this means that starting with a clear picture of what is important for a student to be able to do, and then according to that, we have to organize the curriculum, and we have to plan the teaching methodology, and we have to plan the teaching learning methodology, and finally the assessment. Normally, we used normal test pattern as where students write the exam and we evaluate. Sometimes some students may not able to write it properly, but they may have a better understanding or better logical skill, coding skill, or they may be well versed in doing a project model. So different students have different capability. So we must have mechanism to assess all type of students. Uh, Normally, we use a single type of assessment pattern, and what they suggest is actually we must have different types of assessment tool that can suit a different type of student. And this Williams Paddy, Paddy's focus in 1994 was actually school education. So in school education, he wanted to broad this concept of outcome-based education, and it was subsequently adapted for higher education as well. And now we'll see the history, and we'll see why this outcome-based education was incorporated in our education system as well as in our accreditation committees. When we see the history of outcome-based education, in late 1950s itself, it has been started. So Benjamin Bloom, he developed this Bloom's taxonomy of educational objective, which laid the foundation for focusing on the learning outcomes. And today, everybody knows about Bloom's taxonomy and what are those keywords and what are those categories: remember, understand, create, analyze. So we know that Bloom's taxonomy, and he this Benjamin Bloom, he started developing this taxonomy in 1950 itself. And after that, a nation at risk report is published in the United States criticizing the traditional educational system and calling for a shift in the education pattern. So that was in 1983 in the United States. And after that, the educational methodology, the way of teaching, it has been changed. Actually, we are, as Sar said, we are lagging behind a lot. Till now, we are using the traditional methods. We are using the old methods. We are following the old methods. But in 1983 itself, in US, they started thinking about that, and they have started changing. In 1985, Educating Australians, a search for a better way, report is published in Australia, and they started adopting this outcome-based education. Similarly, when you talk about that is actually this Williams Paddy in 1987. In 1987, he coined this word outcome-based education, and he was talking about the learning outcomes. And in 1990, the New Zealand Ministry of Education adopts an outcome-based approach in its curriculum framework. And that is in 1990s itself they have adopted, and so many other countries have included or tried to incorporate this outcome-based education in their curriculum or in their education system. They have included or they have adopted. And so many countries have adopted. I have not included all those information. But in India, we have adopted this outcome-based education in the year 2012. In 2012 only, we have started talking about this. At that time, very few people know about this outcome-based education, because in that NBA document, they are talking about outcome-based education, and they are asking about the CO mapping and what is the PO, what is the outcome. So from that time we have started. But even now, I know that, and also when you analyze about your institute or how we are implementing, what is the idea behind or what is the reason behind using this OBE is not achieved. I think this is my personal opinion, because we are doing documentation, we are doing a lot of documentation, but we do not know really in the real sense whether we have implemented that or not. In the real sense, if we have implemented, in that case, when I see a particular student, that is for each student, the mark or the score should not be there, the grade should not be there, his skill should be, we should able to analyze his skill. What is his skill? What is his cognitive skill? What is his reasoning skill? So that type of evaluation should be possible. Then only we are actually successful in implementing this outcome-based education. Otherwise, it is simply a paperwork. And most of the cases, we are doing reverse engineering, and we are just calculating some values for the COPO mapping. And each time when the committee comes, they tell a new approach. That is, they tell some new calculation. We may follow a new way. And if you ask your neighboring college, they may follow a new calculation. Okay, the calculation may be different, but we should understand what is actually expected. And that is very important. So, outcome-based education is an approach to education in which decision about curriculum, instruction, and assessment are driven by the exit learning outcomes, and that the student should demonstrate at the end of the program or course. So, when I say what we expect at the end of the program, that is our program outcome. And for each course also, we must have a proper course outcome. At the end of the course, what we expect the student to learn, or what we expect from the student, what skill he must possess, or what skill he should exhibit. So that is very important while designing a course. After designing a course, we will write the outcome. Normally speaking, I do not know how you write the outcome. Actually speaking, first we have to write the outcome, and then we have to frame the syllabus. Then we have to frame the module. But normally, we frame the syllabus, then we write the outcome. That is in the reverse way. Normally, this is happening. And when we talk about this outcome based education, the product, the end product, it defines the process. It is the opposite of input based education, where the emphasis is on the teaching, and the system is happy to accept whatever is the result. As I said, I have some ingredients, I have some flour, I have some egg, I have some milk. With that, whatever recipe I can do, I can do it. Okay. So in that case, with that, I'm satisfied with, because only I have less ingredient, and I know only this process, so I will complete that. Okay. But at the same time, if we know the end product properly, and if we have the proper definition of the end product, and based on that, if we do the process, then we will achieve, or we will get the expected output or the product. So when we see the difference between traditional education and OBE, and we are satisfied with the traditional education, and in the traditional education, the focus is primarily on the content delivery. So everybody will be talking about, even myself. So our main aim is to complete the syllabus. Okay. So our main aim is the content and delivery, with the emphasis on covering a prescribed curriculum. Whenever a curriculum is given, whenever a syllabus is given, we wanted to complete that syllabus. And we are not that much bothering about how much learning has happened, how much learning happened in the student. Okay. So we are not giving much emphasis on that, and we are very much focused on the syllabus coverage, content delivery, etc. So that is the traditional way. And in outcome based education, the focus is on defining the desired learning outcome and designing instructions and assessment to achieve those outcomes. So normally, when we were doing no internals at all, even though they conduct some class test or something, this internal marks will not be counted. Only in the end semester, we will write, that is end semester exam we write, and only those marks will be considered. So, even though you didn't study in the entire semester, and in the study leave, if you sit and study properly, you can score, but you may not have a proper understanding. So that is possible in the previous cases. So if we wanted to achieve the real learning, we must have a continuous assessment. We must have a continuous assessment to assess the learning of the student. So that is very important. So in this OBE, the focus is on defining the desired learning outcomes. So what is our final outcome we are expecting? And in traditional way of teaching, or in the traditional education, Learning outcomes are often implicit and are not clearly defined. When we see our older syllabus, even we don't have any objective at all. Syllabus will be there. We do not know why we are studying that. We have studied a lot of subjects like simulation, and so many subjects I have studied, and some subject I do not know why I have studied that subject. So we must know why we are studying that, what is the objective, and what is the outcome that is expected out of that particular course. So in OBE, learning outcomes are explicitly stated. Not only that, it should be measurable. Then only you can say that that outcome is achieved or not. So we have to specify the outcome in a measurable way and guide the instructional process. If you wanted to measure that, or if we expect that particular learning, what is the instructional process? How to deliver that content? How to deliver that content? Normally, whenever we think about teaching or learning, teaching means only it is lecturing. Blackboard teaching, blackboard writing, and teaching. So that's what was continued for a long time in our country, especially. And but we must adapt to different instructional process as well. And in traditional method, the curriculum is often predetermined based on the standardized set of subjects and content areas. Even now, I have seen in actually when we go to a board of studies for some institute, or sometimes when we see the very old subject, what we study before 30 years, they have, that is, those subjects are there. Some subjects we cannot leave, fundamental subject, basic subject. I'm not talking about that. But some content that can be modified, that may not, that may be obsolete now. But even now, we hold on to that content because it's a traditional or predetermined syllabus. You cannot change. But now everywhere, most of the institutes are autonomous institute. They have this academic freedom, and they can design their curriculum. They can modify their curriculum very often, even every 6 months. You can change the elective. Only the core remains the same for at least 2 years or 3 years. But even if you want to change that, that is possible. So that flexibility is available now in this outcome-based education. So curriculum is designed based on the identified learning outcomes. Similarly, the next important part is the assessment. So assessment is focused on measuring the knowledge acquisition through exams and assignments, often with a heavier emphasis on recall. So if you have memory power, if you can remember things, then you can write and you can score. But if you, some student may understand the concept well, but they may not able to recall. In that case, they lose the marks actually. So we normally evaluate in the that is the traditional method. So the heavier emphasis is on recall and regenerating of the information. And here the assessment is focused on measuring the attainment of the learning outcome. So already we have defined the learning outcomes, how it is attained. So that is measured. Similarly, the instruction is often teacher oriented. Teacher will teach and the student has to listen. That's all. So we don't encourage the student to ask questions. Interactive sessions will not be there. And the lecture session is 15 minutes. And nowadays, they are telling that they have the attention, the students have the attention for a very less time. That is, they are telling few minutes they have the attention. So if you are talking for a long time, even when if I talk for a long time, even though we are faculty, we may sleep and we may not have the interest to attend, or that is because our attention will be reduced. So normally, initially it was teacher centered, but now it is flexible in the learning process. Different mode of teaching is there. We have blended learning, we have online teaching, and also we have group discussion and peer learning, project-based learning, experimental learning, like that. Now we are adapting so many new method of instruction so that it they enable the student for different types of learning. So some students, when they see, they can understand. Some people, when they hear, they can understand. But if they see as well as hear, automatically their learning will increase. And if they do as a project, or if they put their hand on that, automatically the learning, the percentage of learning increases. So we have to incorporate all this type of instructions and teaching learning method. And in traditional, the learning process and pace are typically predetermined. We can't say that, from our experience, we can say that all students are not having the same capability or same ability to learn. Some students are slow learners. They need more time to grasp. They need more time to reproduce. So for all phases of all kind of students, we should able to provide opportunity. And so now there is a flexibility in the learning process. And feedback is often focused on grades and score. We check the grade and score, and based on that we decide whether a particular student studies well or not. But sometimes he might have some other skill, like entrepreneurial skill, or some other design skill he may have, but those things are not evaluated. Or feedback is not based on any other thing, only based on the scores. But here in the outcome based education, feedback is ongoing and focused on progress towards achieving the learning outcomes. Similarly, limited involvement of the stakeholder in case of traditional learning or traditional education. Only it is between the student and the faculty. But now what we're doing is we are involving all other stakeholders like employers, industry experts, then the community members, parents. So everyone we are involving. Even in our board of studies, we have student members, we have industry members, we have parents, because most of the parents are educated and they can give a good input, because they are observing their what's at home, and they can suggest what type of course or what type of learning methodology we can adapt. So now the involvement of the stakeholder is very high. Because of that, this outcome is also better. So this is the major difference between the traditional education and the object that is outcome based education. And as we have seen, it is learner centered. So student is very important, and the learner is very important. Here, what we have to do is we have to see, what do I want my student to learn. So that is the first thing we have to decide. So based on that, we have to decide the curriculum. So the first thing we have to decide is, what do I want my student to learn. So that is, you have to decide on the learning outcomes. Okay, we have to decide on the learning outcomes, and based on that we have to decide the curriculum. As so the first step is, you should decide what the student wanted to learn. So based on that, we have to frame the curriculums. And next one is, we should know, how do I know that learning does happen or not? Okay, so because we are teaching, but how we will know that whatever we have taught, it has been entered into the mind of the students or not? Okay, so here when we see the second part, not only the content, the second important thing is, how can I facilitate that learning? The second important thing is, how can I facilitate that learning? What is the mode of teaching? what is my method of teaching, what tools I'm going to use. I hope in the previous sessions you might have discussed about this different learning methodologies. I don't know, but different tools are there, right? Now we can use different ways of even instead of using this PPTs, no, we can use the interactive PPT so that the student can interactively communicate with us. Otherwise, now I am talking, I do not know how it is received at the receiver end, right? So teaching and learning activities, so that is also important, has to be taken care. The third important thing is the assessment pattern. So here actually, how I am going to evaluate, And now so many online tools are there for conducting interactive quizzes, for polling, and through a group discussion, and also you can enable them for group project. Then you can evaluate, you can design rubrics such a way that you can exactly understand what they have done or what they have learned. So framing the rubrics is very, very important in case of this outcome-based education. So these are the main component in outcome-based education. So mainly it is learner-centered. And the main advantage of OBE is clarity, the provision of a framework, and also guide for assessment and facilitates curriculum evaluation. That is, if you feel that the curriculum is not enough, the content is not enough, based on the feedback, you can update the curriculum. And this outcome-based education, it gives you a proper clarity and explicit statement of what the educational process aim to achieve, and clarifies the curriculum for both students and teachers, and provides a focus for teaching and learning. I know that in the initial stage, syllabus, we have to get it from the university. For getting the syllabus itself is a big job. But now what we are doing, we are just preparing teaching learning material, right? We are preparing teaching learning material. We are telling the students in each hour what we are going to teach, from where we are going to teach, what topic we are going to teach, so that the students can read the content earlier and come prepared for the class. And also, so they have the idea of what they are going to learn today. All those clarity they have, and that particular topic is mapped to a particular outcome. When they learn this topic, what is the course outcome they are going to achieve? So that also we are mapping. So both the faculty as well as the student have the clarity of what to teach and what to learn. And the provision of a framework, and this outcome-based education, it provides a robust framework for integration of the curriculum. And that is our AICT itself, they are giving how many credits that is for example, for science subjects we must have this many credits, for professional core we must have this many credits, and for free elective we must have this many credits. So some framework they are providing, at the same time they provide flexibility to us, so that according to our need we can fix those courses. And also we get the guide to assessment, how to assess our student. So that is also we get it properly. So the outcome provides the framework for student examination. So how we are going to evaluate, what are the rubrics for evaluating, for each rubric how much we are marks we are providing, and based on that how we are going to evaluate their learning capability, and also facilitate the curriculum evaluation. So we can update our curriculum based on that. So these are some of the advantages of OBE: clarity, provision of a framework, and guide for assessment as well as curriculum. And this is the overall framework. Actually, this is from I hope you might have heard about, or you might have known about Dr. Rob, MJ Rob. So mainly, he is a person behind framing this OBE framework in NBA. So based on that, when we see we all know that every institute will have a vision or vision for an institute. Each institute will have a vision. So, based on that vision, they may have two or more mission to accomplish. Okay, so we, for example, our mission may that is our vision from our institute may be to provide a quality education. At the same time, it should be the student should be capable of solving societal problem. So we may explain that is we may have a vision, and to achieve that vision, we may have some mission statements. So based on that mission statement, each department has to frame their vision statement. So this is the flow of forming. Normally, we don't change the vision of the institute, but we can update the vision of the department. And this vision statement of the department has to be written or has to be framed based on the mission or vision of the institute. And from this, each that is department will have a mission statement. And from this mission statement, we have to write this program educational objective. So here, the program means the BTech program or MTech program. So here, when I am talking about undergraduate program, assume that program here is BTech program. And this National Board of Accreditation, they themselves, they have provided some program outcome for BTech or engineering program. So they have provided some 12 POs. They have provided some 12 POs. That means at the end of the BTech program, what quality what quality the student should possess. So that is provided by NBA itself, and we have to frame this program educational objective based on the vision and mission of our department. And then the department advisory board or board of studies, they have to identify the program specific outcome. So what do you mean by this program specific? Already we have PO, that is program outcome, that is general for all the BTech program. And what is this PSO or the program specific outcome is? For BTech computer science, the outcome is different. For BTech mechanical, the outcome we expect is different. For BTech electronics and communication, the outcome we expect is different. So that is this program specific outcome. So it varies from department to department, and normally we can have some 2 to 4 program specific outcome. And then based on the POs and PSOs, we have to frame the curriculum. And but actually speaking, I do not know how many of us are framing the syllabus like this. Normally, we take a bottom-up approach. We frame the syllabus and then write the course outcome. Then we map the course outcome with the program outcome. But actually, it is a top-down approach. From the program outcome, we should know. So program outcome 1. So that is the basic engineering concept. So to have that particular outcome, what subject I have to include? So we have to decide on the subject. And from that, from each course, what is expected? Like that, we have to frame the curriculum. So from the curriculum, that is based on the PO, we must have, that is, it should include humanities and social science, basic science, engineering science, professional core, professional elective, then open elective, projects. So because these projects, they actually they must have some hands-on experience. Nowadays we have internship, mini project, all those things we make it as mandatory to provide some more hands-on experience, because most of them have only the theoretical knowledge, but when they go to industry, they were not able to handle the situations. So more industry oriented or more hands-on expertise is needed. So that's why we are providing more internships and mini projects. And based on this, we have to decide. Based on this, we have to decide what are the courses, we wanted to have. So we have to finalize the course. And from the course, we have to decide, for each course, we have to decide outcome. So in this course, these are the 5 or 6 outcomes we are expecting from the student to learn at the end of the course. So if he wanted to learn this outcome, or if we expect this particular outcome, what content, what module I have to include in that particular course. So like that, we have to decide and include the content. In that case, really the outcome-based education is meaningful. When we frame the syllabus accordingly, in that case, it is meaningful. But when we do it in the reverse order, and when we calculate COP, when we do COPO mapping, course articulation matrix, and when we calculate, we may not able to achieve the desired outcome. So this is the overall framework, and I hope everybody must be using this framework while you are designing your curriculum as well as the individual courses. As we have seen, there are different levels of outcomes. So as I said, there are different levels of outcomes, even though, see, for example, this vision and mission of the institute, what they expect is my student at the end, when they go out of my institute, they should become an entrepreneur, or they should become like this. Okay, so that is the first level of outcome, okay, that is expected. And then based on that mission, that is vision and mission, this program educational objective is framed. But this program educational objective cannot be measured immediately at the end of the course. So that is not possible, because this you can, for evaluating this, you have to get the feedback from the employer and from the parents, from the stakeholders. So only after 2 or 3 years of completion of the course, you can evaluate this program educational objective. But this program outcome, you can evaluate immediately after your course. So when they graduate, you can evaluate this program outcome. This calculation and all, actually I have not included, because this is what to say, we have indirect attainment, direct attainment, so many calculations are there. And since different types of participants are there, I have not gone into that much detail in the program outcome or the calculation part. If you expect that, later part we can discuss about that program outcome. And next one is about the program specific outcome. So program specific outcome, actually this will be different for different outcome, program specific outcome. For a EEE student, the outcome is different. And then the course outcome. Course outcome is written for the individual subject. So for example, if they are doing database management system, if they are doing the course database management system, then what is the expected outcome? We take our lecture itself. Okay, at the end of the course, at the end of my lecture, what is my expected outcome? So for example, what I expect from the learner. So I expect the learner to have a clarity on the outcome-based education. They must understand clearly what is outcome-based education. And then they must know how to frame the curriculum based on the outcome. Based on the outcome, they must know what are the program outcome, and based on the program outcome, the learner should be able to frame the curriculum. So outcome-based curriculum. And also they must know what are the assessment tools that are available and in what different methods they can assess the students, and in what way they can teach. So at the end of the session, if the learner achieve this, if they understand what is objective outcome based education, and how to have a flexible curriculum to achieve the outcome, and how to decide on their teaching learning methodologies, and how to evaluate the or how to assess the performance of the or the learning capability of the students, then I can be satisfied that my learning objectives, that is my course objective, was achieved. If all the participants achieved that particular outcome, then we can say that we have achieved that learning course objective. So I have given some samples because sometimes and this varies there depending upon your vision and mission. So these POs are broad statement that describe the career as well as the professional accomplishment in 4 to 5 years after graduation that the program is preparing the graduates or the graduates to achieve. So, for example, here I have given few examples for you to understand. The PEO one is actually you can have between 2 to 4 PEOs. It is not limited. Okay, so better you can have maximum 4. Beyond that, whatever PEO you give, that should be measurable. That is very important. Whenever we state some outcome, so that should be measurable thing. So here demonstrate occurred to design and develop innovative software solution for the computer science department. So based on our department mission and vision, so the first PO is demonstrate the knowledge occur to design and develop innovative software solutions. And the second PO, you can say that exhibit technical skills and excel as computer professionals, academicians, researchers, and entrepreneurs. And the third one is execute professional practice to serve the society. Because when you see our vision and mission, they should express the, they should be trained in the cutting edge technologies. Okay, in the latest technologies, they should be trained. Also, we wanted to produce not only the job seekers, also we wanted to produce entrepreneurs, academicians, researchers, etc. So that is our mission. So you have to write PO in such a way that you are able to achieve your mission. And then we wanted to serve the society, every institute. Okay, so we wanted to create or produce students, graduates. They should serve the society. Otherwise, their education may not be helpful. When we talk about talk about any skills, atomic bombs. This atomic energy can be used in a productive way or in a destructive way. So we must train our children, we must train our student in such a way that they must have the empathy, ethics, etc. Otherwise, whatever learning we are imparting to them may not be helpful. This atomic energy may be helpful as well as it may be destructive, right? So the Hiroshima, Nagasaki, we all know that it is destructive now. So many wars are happening in different parts of the world, and they are using this atomic energy as a threat. So we have to produce good citizens. So that is also our main aim. So how to achieve this? How to achieve this? We have mentioned that execute professional practice to serve society. So our educational objectives need not be measured only based on the courses. In our institute, actually, we have non-academic activities like NSS, NCC, so many other activities. I hope every institute may have this. So we should allow the students to go into the society and to serve the society, and that has to be measured. So we have to see how much they have achieved, how many solutions they have brought to the society. So that also we have to evaluate. So this is this program educational objective. And as I said, program outcomes, this program outcomes are statement. This we are not writing. NBA itself, they have provided this. The only thing we can do is we should able to achieve this program outcome by defining or by designing our curriculum in such a way that our students achieve this program outcome. And this program outcomes or statement that describe what the knowledge, skill, and attitudes students should be able to demonstrate at the time of graduation from an engineering program. When they do an engineering program, not only knowledge. So nowadays we can see that they might have studied computer engineering, but if they wanted to troubleshoot a computer, they may not able to do that. Similarly, an electronics engineer, they may not able to, or an electrical engineer, they may not able to work with our electronic devices or our equipments at home, right? So this even the skills need to be developed. So we have to incorporate courses and training in such a way that the skills has to be enhanced. Similarly, attitudes. That's why we have program outcomes with the team building. So they must be a team player as well. They should not be always individual and not able to communicate with others. So that is also important. The attitude is also important. So based on this, they have provided this 12 program outcomes. So basic knowledge is important, as well as they must serve the society, as well as they must protect the environment. So nowadays we are talking about global warming, etc. So we must provide some knowledge about that environmental issues, as well as they should know to save water, save energy. So that is also, that must be included. And nowadays I think they have told our heritage has to be taught. So we are including some subjects to learn about our heritage, our tradition. Okay, because our tradition have some good values and ethics. So that has to be imparted to the students. So that is also incorporated. So when we see this 12 outcome, really they have included all that is all 360-degree development. Okay, so full as a full good citizen. Okay, so this has to be important. At a graduate, we are expecting these attributes. So while we are framing the syllabus based on this, we have to. So I wanted to tell you something. So for example, after this, okay, so whenever assume that we have a previous curriculum and etc., and now we are evaluating that. After evaluation, after assessing, we came to know that this PO1 is achieved only 65%. Okay, and PO2 is achieved some 80%, and PO3 is achieved 95%. This is what we have calculated or we have evaluated at the end of the course. So now, not only evaluation matters, we must understand the gap and we must know to build the gap. So, for example, PO1, okay, it is not achieved. So, it is less. It is only 65% we have achieved. In that case, we have to decide how to add this or how to improve this PO1. So this PO1 is mainly based on engineering knowledge, basic skills. So we have to add, so the first thing we have to do is we should try to update that in the curriculum. Okay, so we have to include more content, that is more content in the curriculum, which incorporate that engineering knowledge, that is PO1. And similarly, in the teaching method or in the teaching method, for example, it may be a problem solving method, but the way of teaching may not be an analytical one. So we have to change our teaching pattern. We have to change our teaching pattern to achieve that. or we have to give some bridge courses to achieve that. So like that, gap has to be identified, and whichever program outcome is not achieved, so that has to be incorporated. And as we all know that normally when we calculate these POs can be evaluated in two ways. One is using direct assessment, and the other one is through indirect assessment. Okay, direct assessment and indirect assessment. So, indirect assessment is through feedback from the employer or feedback from the students. And so the percentage should be less. Normally, it is better to have some 90-10 or 80-20. So this type of weightage we can give while we are evaluating this POs. What is this direct assessment is based on the course, how much they have achieved, how much knowledge they have gained. So based on the courses they are doing, based on the assessment on the course, okay, this direct assessment will be done, and this indirect assessment will be based on the feedback. Okay, and also uh, we should provide the capability of lifelong learning as well. That is also very important. For example, we should teach the basics, and if they wanted to learn further, if they wanted to go for higher studies, or if they wanted to do some research, so that also has to be enhanced. So that is very important. One minute. Okay. So we have to frame the syllabus curriculum in such a way that we are able to achieve. So as I said, not only framing the syllabus or evaluating, identifying the gap and plan to close that gap is very important. So for example, this PO and PSO, normally we used to calculate at the end of the program. So at the end of the final semester, at the end of the final year, we used to calculate this PO PSO. As we said, we may have some 12 POs plus this 2 PSO or PO. Normally, this will be mapped with our course, right? So for each course, for example, course 1, and this course 1 may have and this we call it as course articulation matrix. Nowadays, we are incorporating this in our syllabus, as well as we are incorporating that in our teaching plan itself, right? So PO1, PO2, PO3, etc. up to PSO. Okay, so PSO1, PSO2, etc. So like that we are mapping. And here, normally we give some weightage. What is the weightage? 1, 2, or 3, or low level, or medium level, or high level. So this weightage we give, and whatever they achieve, so it will be multiplied with that weightage. So this mapping we call it as course articulation matrix. And after end of the course, for each course we calculate the PO attainment, and finally we consolidate, and this consolidation gives you the direct attainment. Okay, so this gives you the direct attainment. And as I said, some that is we evaluate the POs using indirect attainment as well through feedbacks, and for project reviews, and all those things are indirect attainment. Okay, so the first thing is PO-PSO attainment for a program through core courses, projects, presentations, co-curricular activities, extracurricular activities. So using this, we evaluate the PO-PSO attainment. And initially, we might have fixed a target for this. We might have fixed a target For example, earlier, if we have fixed a target for 70%, then we will check whether we were able to achieve that particular target. And we will assume that our target for PO1 is 70%, and we were able to achieve only 65%. Okay. So target already, we might have fixed it as 70%. So for that, I hope in each department, we may have the IQSC cell. So this IQSC cell will have an quality assurance committee. So this committee will fix these targets. So they will fix the target for course outcome as well as for the program outcome. Okay. So program outcome, assume that it has been set as 70%. But if we were able to achieve only 65%, then the main important thing is we have to plan for closing this gap. So we have to check how to achieve this gap of 5%. For example, if you are able to give some bridge courses, or this gap has to be addressed in the next cycle or for the next set of students. That is very mandatory. Otherwise, the framework, the implementation, all those things are a mere waste, because in the paper we may calculate so many things, but if you are not trying to close these gaps for the enhancement of PO-PSO target, then it is of mere waste. So this is very important. As I said, you cannot evaluate these POs at the end of the course. So this program educational objective can be evaluated only after 3 to 4 years of graduation. Okay, so you have to get feedback from the employer, from the survey in that job. So based on those feedback, we can find out or we can calculate this PEOs. And as I said, this program specific outcomes, these are all specific to a program. For example, for CSE, computer science, the program, that is, the objective may be different. For ECE, the objective may be different. Nowadays, in CSE department itself, we have AI, we have AIML. So it's really challenging to differentiate this PSO. So I hope, actually we have AIML, right? We have AI, DS, different combination of courses we have, and also we have data. Okay. So like that, a different combination of courses we have. So each program is different. That is, BTech AI is different, BTech AI and ML is different. So surely you must show difference in the curriculum. Otherwise, all the courses will be similar. Okay, that's what we are saying, that you have to specify this program specific outcome very clearly. And based on this program specific outcome, we have to design the courses. And based on that, we have to frame the curriculum. So that is very important. Otherwise, most of the courses, most of the program will be similar. We must show difference in all these courses. So this example I have given for CSE. This may be suitable for all other programs, I think, because whether it is electronics or triply, everywhere now they are adding electronics and communication specialization in AI, okay, and specialization in AI/ML, and even computer science department have specialization in IoT. Electronics and communication department is also having specialization in IoT. So we must have differentiate between these courses, okay. So what exact outcome you are expecting from such students, that has to be spelled out properly, okay. That is very important in current scenario. And this is the common thing we all used to it. That is our course outcome. For each course, normally when we frame the syllabus, I have seen that for each course, After framing the syllabus, we write the course outcome. But actually speaking, it is not the way. Okay, as I said, um, for achieving this particular PO, okay, a particular PO is not satisfied. For assume that PO1, for achieving this, what content that has to be included in course 1, what content that has to be included in course 2. This is not outcome, this is a course. Okay, that content has to be included in course 2. So accordingly, in course 1, what outcome I am expecting, so that has to be spelled out properly. From the outcome, we have to decide the modules. From the outcome, we have to decide the modules. And from the modules, actually, we have to identify the topics of learning. Okay. Then we have to choose the appropriate textbook, and we have to frame the syllabus accordingly. But most of the time, we go in the reverse order. Unit 1, CO1, Unit 2, CO2, like that. We are writing the CO. And also, while you are writing the CO, you have to take care of the Bloom's taxonomy or Bloom's activity and active words, right? So this you might be knowing. So when you take a particular content, when you frame a syllabus for a particular course, okay, you should decide that subject should be handled in what level. Whether I will teach only till the analysis level, okay, because sometimes assume that subject is for the first years, okay, they may not able to create anything new. So in that case, you may that is, your course content may have components of remembering, understanding, and analysis part, not the create, evaluate, etc. So your COs must contain only these components. That is, it must contain only remember, understand, and analyze. Normally, what we do is each course will have all the Bloom's keywords so that we can map it easily. Okay, but it is not the way. Similarly, for that particular course, when we are trying to assess that particular course, when we are framing the question, or while we are giving an assignment, we have to give that assignment to that level only. If the course is framed for analyze level, then you have to teach up to that level. You should not teach only remember and understand level. So we have to teach up to the level of analyze. Then only you can ask the question to the level of analyze. Similarly, when you teach up to the level of create, then only you can ask the question up to the level of create. So while framing the syllabus itself, we have to decide at what level this course should be. Accordingly, we have to frame the syllabus. Accordingly, you have to write the course outcome. So for project and all, it will be create level, right? Create, evaluate, etc. But not all the courses. Okay. Similarly, ethics. Okay. All those things you may not able to create ethics. Okay. So how will you evaluate? They have ethics, right? You can make them understand ethics. So like that, different for different courses, you have to frame the outcomes very carefully. Again, the CO attainment quality loop. So normally, as I said, whenever you frame the course, and at the beginning of each semester, your quality assurance cell, right? So those committee, they have to discuss, they have to analyze the outcome, and based on that outcome, they have to fix a target. They have to fix a target. That is, if we allow the course teacher to fix, what will happen is they may fix a very low target, right? So this has to be decided by a committee, and initially you should not fix a very high target. Okay, so a medium level target we can fix. Similarly, you can decide if it is an analytical paper, we can reduce the target. If it is a theory paper, you can increase the target. Accordingly, the committee shall discuss, and they have to decide on this course outcome target. Okay, so initially you will fix a target. Assume that we have fixed the target as 65% for PBMS subject. Okay, so and now for this course, we have defined the precise outcome, and this course outcomes are assessed by the assessment pattern. Okay, each university or each college may have a different assessment pattern. For example, you may have three internal quality assessment. Okay, internal assessments you may have. You can have three quality assessments. Okay, at the end you may give a project based or skill based assessment. Okay, so project based assessment, like that you can decide what is your pattern. Okay, what is your assessment pattern. So for internal, you may give 60%, and for your end semester exam, you may provide some 40%. And in some college, it may be 50-50. Okay, but you must have a assessment pattern. Okay, so based on that, the CO, the outcome will be assessed. Similarly, you have to say how this is what tool, okay, or how we are going to assess. For example, first internal assessment in our college for the first years, actually what you're doing is first internals will be MCQ, because they have to study very clearly, then only they can attend that MCQ, right? Second one will be a written test, and third one will be a project based evaluation. So like that, you can use different tools for assessment that you can fix. And at this actually assessment instruments, this you can give flexibility to the faculty, those who are handling the class. Okay, because you cannot have a rigid tool for all the subject. For a programming paper, the evaluation pattern may be different. For a theory paper, the evaluation pattern may be different, right? So this flexibility has to be given to the corresponding faculty. They can decide what tool they are going to use to assess that particular CO. And then you can calculate the CO attainment of each student. Okay, CO attainment of each student. And then you compare the attainment. For example, assume that, okay, the attainment is 65%. Okay, the attainment is 65%. What is our target? The target is also 65%. Okay, in that case, there is no issues. What you can do is, now in the next cycle, you can try to fix this target little higher. Okay, next time you can try to fix this target little higher and try to achieve that higher target. Okay, but assume that the student was not able to achieve the target. Okay, so they have achieved only 60%. Then you should identify the process or ways in which you can build this gap. Okay, so that is very important. So how to fill this gap and make the students to achieve the desirable target. And this CO attainment will be used for calculating the PO-PSO, right? Based on that articulation matrix, we calculate the PO-PSO based on this attainment. And as I said, normally or mostly, I think most participants are from engineering, and I am also from engineering department. So I have mentioned the engineering education framework, OBE framework. Okay, but this outcome-based education is suitable for everyone. Okay. So, as I said, this 12 graduates, that is graduates of 12th standard, they enter into the institute as a raw material. Okay, and we have to produce a proper output. Okay, that is, the students enter as a raw material after completing their 12th standard, and at the end of 4 years, we should able to produce. Okay, we should able to produce the engineering graduate with the defined abilities. Already we have defined, right? What what is our PSO, what is our PO, what is our CO. So we have to produce the engineers with that outcome. In that, different stakeholders are there. That is, university is the main stakeholder, okay? But other than that, state government is involved, AICT is involved, the accreditation board is involved, okay? Parents, industry, the employer, okay? So all the stakeholders, they play some role in producing this engineer with the desired outcome. Okay, and sometimes due to some social factor or due to some economic factor, these people may not able to achieve the desired program educational objective. I said this PO can be calculated or evaluated only after 2 or 3 or 4 years of graduation. We may not that is, we may not say that all 100% of the students achieve all the outcomes, right? So they may not able to achieve, maybe due to social factor or economic factor, but we have to see what is the gap. Okay, and how we are evaluating that, whether they are achieving, they are able to achieve that PU or not, based on the placement record, based on the GATE score, GRE score, GMAT or CAT score, or how many of them have become entrepreneur. So many people might have joined higher degrees, right? Based on this, okay, we are able to calculate this PO is achieved or not. Okay, so based on that we can calculate, and if we are not able to achieve, again we have to do the gap analysis and we should try to achieve this. As I said, the major components of OBE or outcome based education is so these are the major components, 4 main components. All these components already I have discussed. Okay, already I have discussed, but now I'm going to consolidate what are the major components of this outcome-based education. The first and important thing is curriculum design. The content what we are providing is very, very important. As I said, if you wanted to make a good recipe, okay, if you wanted to make a dish, okay, a delicious dish, ingredients are important. Okay, the quality of the ingredient is important, so the content what we provide, that is very important. So we have to frame the curriculum. We should not cling on to the old curriculum or the old content, because when for example, when we take our computer science field itself, every day it is changing, every day it is changing. Today they will talk about AI, tomorrow they will talk about some other thing. We may be framing curriculum for AI, tomorrow they will talk about ML, tomorrow next day they will talk about DL. Okay, so like that, we will talk about cloud computing, they will talk about edge computing. So every day the technology is getting updated. We should able to, our curriculum or should accommodate all these updates. Otherwise, we may not produce an engineer with the cutting edge technology. Okay, so the curriculum design is very important. Whenever we do curriculum design, we have to put all our mind in that, and we should create a good curriculum. We have to design a good curriculum. And the second one is teaching learning methods. I'm a very old person. Normally, I prefer this blackboard teaching. That was my initial thing. Okay, and previously we used this OHP sheets and all those things. And then we have presented with PPTs. Okay, but nowadays students are entirely different. They expect new things, and initial days students take notes sincerely, but nowadays you can't expect the student to take notes and all those things. They wanted to see everything, they wanted to experiment by themselves. Okay, so now, last week we have conducted a project based evaluation with our first year students. Really they have exhibited very well, but when you see their score in the test, it is not satisfactory scores, okay? Because they don't want to sit and study, they don't want to write, they are very lazy to write now, especially after the lockdown. After lockdown, even if you I think even if you give the answer key, they don't write. So they are like that. So very lazy to write. But at the same time, we gave some project. So the third component of our evaluation, so the third assessment is project based evaluation for us, skill based evaluation. All the students, they really they have done some project. Some of them are very innovative, and some projects can be patented, okay, like that they have exhibited their skills. So that is the current zen people, so our current generation people. So we have to change our teaching learning methods accordingly. Then only we can expect our students to achieve something out of the content. Similarly, assessment. Assessment also, the same method may not be suitable. Some students, when you ask Viva, they may not able to say, but when you ask them to write, they may write. Some students, they will not write, but they will tell the answer properly. Some students may present it properly using PPT. So some students may exhibit a project. So we have to use different types of assessment. That is important. And more important thing is the continual quality improvement and monitoring. So continuously we have to monitor, and if there is a gap, then and there we have to bridge the gap so that we can achieve the desired outcome. As I said, the curriculum I have told, different teaching learning methods are there. Differentiated instructions. That is, differentiated instructions, the idea of created tailored education plan for students based on different needs. So some slow learners may be there. For them, we may provide some extra learning materials, or we may have a separate class with less number of students with more attention to that students, okay, students with slow learning capability. In that case, they may perform better. So we can have lecture based learning. Mostly we are doing this, right? So mostly we are doing lecture based learning. Nowadays we have started using so many technology based learning. So many tools we are using, online tools we are using, and also we are updating ourselves, and we are using. So that is very important. In object, that is in outcome based education, we must have a transitional change from the traditional method to the new technology. And group learning. In the hostel, sometimes the students will do group learning, and some students, they may not understand when we teach, but when they do this group study, they learn better. This environment we can create in the class itself. We can give group discussion, and we can play this zigzag game. We can give the material to all the students, some topic to different students, ask them to present, ask them to discuss. So this type of group learning we can do, as well as individual learning. Some students, if they are calm and quiet, they can learn by themselves. So always we should not do spoon feeding. That will not work. So when we do spoon feeding, that is in all situations they cannot learn. So we have to make them to learn also. We should say where it is available, how to learn. Only that part we have to give, and we should make them to learn individually. That is also important. And inquiry based learning, we should encourage the students to ask questions. So automatically that itself is enabling learning. And game based learning, students are nowadays very much interested in gaming, right? So they are addicted to gaming, and we should be able to conduct our classes in some we're using some role play, or in a that is in game based learning. Automatically it has a higher impact. For example, this slow learners, no, for them so many game based learning is available. For they can easily learn, and this game based learning can be easily adopted in schools, and in lower classes. This will be really fruitful. And similarly, the assessment pattern, I think I'm exceeding my time, so most probably I'll summarize. And assessment pattern, so outcomes assessment is a process which gauges a student's knowledge and skills and provides for continual teaching and learning improvement. So there are different tools that are available. The main important tool is rubrics. We have to frame appropriate rubrics in such a way that you will be able to evaluate all the skills. And this rubrics you have to tell to the student also, so he knows how to prepare and how he will be evaluated. And canvas assignment you can give, plagiarism deduction, you can find out how much they have copied. Okay, so that has to be used nowadays. After this chat gpt and all this online tools and on all ai tools, it gives all coding as well, right? So we must use some assessment tools to check this plagiarism, otherwise we will be fooled, we will be cheated, and the students may not achieve the actual outcome. Now I have heard about AI grism. Plagiarism is not sufficient now because most of the thing is done by AI tools, right? When you check with this AI content, no, that is the content produced by the AI tools. When you pass through this plagiarism check, it will easily pass through that. Okay, so it won't show plagiarism. So nowadays they are designing AI grism to check whether it is generated by an AI tool or or manually, okay, or by the human. So that type of tool even we know we need, otherwise we may not be able to assess them properly. Then self-assessment, peer assessment, and based on surveys, and also you can conduct a classroom polling, okay, so classroom polling as well as feedback you can get from the students. Based on that, you can assess the students properly, the outcome of the student. So not only use paper and pen method, if we incorporate different assessment method, then the outcome can be assessed properly and correctly. And this is on the lighter side. This is our education system normally, right? I hope everybody must be heard about the story of Albert Einstein, right? See here we are seeing different animals, okay? And for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. So here we have a monkey, elephant, fish, etc. Who can climb the tree, right? Not everyone cannot climb the tree. So everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is a stupid, right? I hope you might have heard the story about this Albert Einstein. From the school, they gave a note to his mother stating that please take him out of our school because he is not the capability of learning. Okay, so we cannot teach him. So please take your son. We wanted to send him from our school. And the mother was really worried, but she didn't show that note to him. And when Albert Einstein asked, "What is that?" and the mother told that that is the staff, the teachers, you are so intelligent, and the student, the teachers were not able to handle you, so they asked me to handle it specially. And her mother coached him at home, and we all know about what is the outcome from the Albert Einstein, right? So similarly, we must have different assessment pattern, different learning, teaching pattern, so that all students can achieve better. So nowadays, we can encourage the students to use the online materials. So many YouTube videos and materials are available. Online certification is available. Our students don't have the habit of reading books. Okay, so we can introduce them about the online books, online materials, so that they can achieve more in their future. So I hope it might be helpful to you about this outcome-based education. I have not gone into the detail of calculation because different type of people value. And if you have any queries, kindly.
Thank you, ma'am. The session was very interesting and very informative. Participants, if you have any queries, kindly post it in the chat box, which will be answered by our guest. There is already a question from Sai Sudha from Sans Academy School. She has asked, at school, we have already tailor-made classes such as NEET training or JEE training, etc. Likewise, can we categorize the students in college and give them the program-specific, like entrepreneur classes, scientist classes, programmer classes?
Yes, ma'am. But most of the colleges in first year itself, they are evaluating. Even in our college, first year when they enter itself, we are getting the feedback. What is your interest? But at that time, first year they may not able to understand their interest. Okay, but even in first year we are getting the feedback from the students, and after that, in the end of second year, again we are getting feedback whether they are interested in placement or higher studies or entrepreneur. Based on that, they can take the course, they can choose the course as well as we are training. So they can skip the placement training, and we are coaching them in GRE, TOEFL, GATE, etc. So I think some of the institutes are doing that. You can also think about that. In that case, you can get a real outcome, because everybody may not be interested in placement and everybody may not be interested in higher studies. So accordingly, you can categorize and you can train. That's a good idea, and people are doing. So many successful institutes are doing that.
Another question from Smita
Yes.
Thomas. Why there is no PSO for MBA mentioned in this slide?
Yeah. Actually, MBA, that is NBA, okay, that is National Accreditation Board. They have not asked for PSO because when we take BTech program, this is my understanding. Okay, BTech, you have different programs. You have computer science and engineering. You have electronics and engineering. So you may have different outcome. You may expect different outcome. But for MBA, even though you have finance, HR, etc., but everything comes under a common umbrella of MBA. So that's why they have not asked for the specific outcome.
Question from Vijay Lakshmi Pandit. How can we calculate the score for mapping?
Yeah, it's a very big topic, and I think I need an entire session to explain this. That is what to say. Course articulation matrix will be there, and then our marks, no, we have to feed in, and different calculations are there. Based on that, we have to fix the level. But I think I need a separate session to explain, because more formulas and calculations are there. I need a separate session to explain that, I think.
I think like rather than an online class, offline would be more better for explaining the calculations. So they can also work out practically and check it out.
Practically, yeah. In that case, it will be better.
Yes.
Because each time, accreditation board itself changing. Whatever method you say, the committee they come, no, they will not accept. Okay, because some of the calculation or some are subjective. They don't accept. Okay, whatever way you say, they will say you have to do like this, like and also practically when we give, as ma'am said, practically when we give and calculate, it will be better. So in offline mode, I think it will be better. As you have asked, gaming learning methods. Normally, in our that is in our classes, we used to conduct role plays to explain the concept of, for example, I'm handling DBMS class, okay? So to explain the concept of consistency, atomicity, etc. Normally, we used to conduct role plays. And they really they enjoy. It's like a role play, and I hope. For example, you can explain the transactions in ATM, and based on the role play, when you explain, they can easily understand the concept. One more thing is card games you can use. Okay, so for example, I used to use card games to explain how that is Hadoop concept of storage. Okay, so for that and all, I use card games, so that can be used. These are all some of the gaming methods that can be used for explaining classification, clustering. Okay, so for that and all you can do, and for sorting and uh, searching. For this, for data structures, no, for sorting, searching, and all, you can use this role play. It will be very interesting, and they will learn easily. How to calculate attainment and target. CO we have to calculate each semester. CO we have to calculate at the end of each semester. We have to calculate, and that has to be submitted to the quality assurance cell. And this quality assurance cell will analyze last year what is the target that has been achieved, what is the target this year. Based on that, they will set the target for the next year. This is for CO. Okay, and for example, for final year. Okay, after that is for a batch. For example, 2023 means 1923 batch. PO attainment can be calculated only at the end of the year. So you have to calculate all the COs and you have to multiply that COs with the weightage of the PO. So you will get the direct attainment value. Again, at the end of the year, you have to get so many surveys from the final year student. That is, you have to get post-exit survey. And also you have to get the employer survey. So different feedback from the parent, you have to get the survey. So these are all indirect assessment. Give less weightage for this indirect assessment. So direct assessment plus indirect assessment will give you the actual PO attainment that can be calculated at the end of the final year.
I think we are done with the questions. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your patience in answering all the questions raised by the participants.
But actually, I would have calculation also. I thought a different group, so I have not brought that because it's very tedious process and it may take more time. So I am not. But if they wish, next time we can see. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So now I call Mr. A.P. Babu, Assistant Professor, Department of IT, to deliver the formal vote of thanks.
So thank you, madam. So good afternoon to all. I am A.P. Babu, Assistant Professor, IT Department, Dr. MGR Educational Research Institute, Chennai. On behalf of IT Department and its entire fraternity, I feel immense pleasure to propose a vote of thanks to Professor Grace Mary Kanaga, Karunya Institute of Technology and Sciences. I want to express my sincere gratitude to Madam, who has spared her precious time from her busy schedule to grace the occasion and enlighten all of us with an ideas on outcome-based education, which is very much required in present scenario. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would further extend the hearty thanks to our Honorable President, Engineer ACS Arun Kumar sir, for his continuous motivation, encouragement, and support for executing such events. I also thank our Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. S. Geetalakshmi, ma'am, Registrar Dr. C.B. Palnivel sir, Additional Registrar Dr. V. Cyril Raj sir, and Dean ENT Dr. N. Ethiraj sir for their guidance and encouragement in all our efforts. I would especially thank our HOD ma'am, Additional Dean ENT Dr. N. Kanya ma'am for her unfaltering support and confidence in us. She is the backbone of our department and the guiding force for every new step forward. My deep sense of thanks and appreciation goes to all participants who were live with us and attended the webinar with great enthusiasm and make it great success. Last but not least, I would thank Dr. Dahlia Sam and T. Vijayarasu sir for their overall support. And in the end, thank you all so very much for being with us today. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for the cooperation and the overwhelming response that made the event a grand success. Thank you once again, and meet you all tomorrow for another exciting session of the FDP, and that's going to be the last session tomorrow. Thank you all.
Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute University welcomes you. Our motto is to be a center of excellence for quality education research in the fields of engineering technology, dentistry, science, and humanities. Now, we are taking a look at the various departmental buildings of our campus. Faculty of Engineering and Technology. We have separate buildings of all engineering branches. Mechanical Engineering, Electronic and Communication Engineering, Electrical and Electronic Engineering, Computer Science and Engineering, Electronic and Communication Engineering, Biotechnology, ACS Medical College and Hospital, Chennai. Anatomy. Biochemistry. Physiology. Biochemistry. Forensic medicine. Pharmacology. Microbiology. Pathology lab. Faculty of Dental Surgery, Thai Mogambigai Dental College and Hospital, Oral Medicine and Radiology. Department of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery. Department of Prosthodontics and Crowns and Bridge. Department of Conservatory Dentistry and Endodontics. Department of Orthodontics. Department of Oral Pathology and Microbiology. Department of Pedodontics and Preventive Dentistry. Department of Periodontology. Department of Public Health Dentistry. Faculty of Architecture. Architectural Lobby. Classroom cum studio. Workshop.